part 2 of mastering test taking. Remember I said to you, wouldn't it be great if you knew the tips, the skills, the tricks to take tests, because there is actually a process to do it. You took 2 quizzes today, and there were tricks in there that you could have used. So let's learn those for our advantage. So using test strategies, mastering test taking. We're going to go over specific test strategies, general rules for all tests, checking over the test, post-test review, and test etiquette today. Using test strategies in multiple choice, true, false, whatever kind of test you have, matching columns, short answer, fill in the blanks, essay questions. There's a way to properly do those, and even some math strategies. In multiple choice strategies, let's look here first. Answer the easy questions first, then the harder ones. Now when you skip it, make sure you come back to it. But don't get bogged down on the ones that are harder and taking up most of your time. So if it's easy, and you know it real well, just answer it and move on. If not, skip it and move on and come back to it. Know that you're going to come back to it at the end. Pay attention to qualifiers. If it has the words usually, none, always, never, pay attention to those. And keywords like except, all but the following, the best, the least. Try to anticipate the correct answer before you even look at the options. So when you read the question in a multiple choice test, when you read the question across, before you even look at your A, B, C, or D choices, see if the answer comes to your mind. Think of the answer first before you look at the choices. Then look at the choices. If one of those matches what you were thinking, that's it. But do read all of the options and eliminate the ones that you know are incorrect. Just get rid of them. Try to narrow it down to 1 or 2. Look for options that contain other options. These are called umbrella options. We'll talk more about that later. But the umbrella options, like an umbrella, right? It covers you. It covers other options fall within that answer. If you're familiar with the response option, it does not necessarily make it the correct choice. Know that. That just because, oh, okay, I'm familiar with that word, doesn't mean it's the answer. Sometimes the longer response, this is interesting, sometimes the longer response may be the clue to the correct response. See, sometimes there's a lot of effort put into a longer answer. A lot of times it is the correct answer. True-false strategies. Be careful with words like always, never, all, none. That probably means it is false. It probably means the answer is false. Because those are, they're saying all, like no exceptions, or none. So be careful with those. Usually the answer means it's false. If a statement is more detailed or specific than others, the chances are it is true. And on a true, false, make sure you don't leave it blank. Go one way or the other. It's 50% chance you're going to get it right. Just don't leave it blank. Unusual sounding statements are likely to be false. If it's unusual sounding, it just doesn't sound right, very unfamiliar, it's probably false. Then we have these tests where you have to match columns. You have a column on the right-hand side and a column on the left-hand side, and you got to match them up. Make sure that you read all of the items in the column on both sides okay, before you start matching them up. And this is a great tip right here where you read the column with the definitions or the explanations and match those to the one-word column. So if you've got one column that just has the one word and you have to find the definitions on the other side, go to the definition side and then look for the one word to match it up. So start on that side first. Again, this is a repeating rule. Mark your easy choices first because you're kind of narrowing things down, eliminating them as you move along, and you're left with the more difficult ones. We have the test called the short answer test or the fill in the blanks. We're all familiar with those as well, where you have to, say fill in the blank with the correct answer or words or give a short reason for the response. Again, never leave blanks. Write what you remember because you might get partial credit. I love this one. I've used it myself. Give general answers if you do not know specifics. Meaning, and the answer to the question was 1804. And you just couldn't quite remember 1804. You knew it was there in the early 1800s. Then write that. Early 1800s. That's more general. It's not as specific, but you're close. Maybe close enough to get it right. Use proper grammar. Notice plural responses. If it says write the causes, you better write more than one. Changes, examples, types of. Those plural responses mean give more than one answer. Okay? Note the number and length of lines or blank spaces to be filled to indicate the length of your answer. They have a question. They have 5 lines. You probably need to fill those 5 lines. If they give a question and they have like 1 line, it's a very short answer. Essay question strategies. When you're writing any kind of essay answer, there are a few requirements that are just expected. First, it's good organization. Second, it's your writing, your proper writing skills. When it's a test that has multiple, like some is multiple choice, some is true or false, some is essay, always just look over the entire test from the beginning and see how much essay, because it takes longer, right? Does it take longer to do essays? Yeah, you have to organize your thoughts. You got to write more. So it's going to take longer. So you have to budget your time to prepare for those essay answers. When you come to the essay part of the test, read it carefully. Note, again, keywords like discuss, compare. Compare if you're telling how they're alike. And sometimes a difference there too, but contrast means to definitely tell how they're different. Define, so they're looking for a definition, a specific definition. So look for key terms in the essay that you want to target. Determine the amount of time you'll have for each question and give more time to your higher scoring questions. Essay answers are always worth more than like multiple choice or true false anyway. And then comparatively with your essay questions, some essay questions are worth more than other essay questions. This one's, let me go back. Do a memory dump. As soon as you get that essay question and you remember there was a pattern or there's an acronym or something to help you remember, write it down, either on that paper or scratch paper, so you won't forget any dates or ideas or facts or figures, formulas. Make a brief outline of the major points when you're writing your essay. Brief outline if you can on scratch paper on the back. Use proper grammar, punctuation, and sentence skills. This, again, is expected when you're writing essay answers. And jot this down. Begin your essay with the wording of the question. Number one, that clarifies that you understood the question. And it's a great way to begin an essay answer. For example, if the essay question was, what are the major causes of the revolution? Then you would start your essay, your beginning sentence, that's your lead-in sentence, would say, the 5 major causes of the revolution were. So always start your essay with the wording of the question. And then when you've written your last sentence on the essay and you've put your period and you think you're done, you're not done. What should you do? What should you do? Proofread. Go back. Go back through your essay and make corrections, spelling, grammar. You might remember something else. Oh, yeah, I need to put that in there. Make the corrections as needed. These are commonly used essay terms. You need to know what they mean because they don't define them for you. Analyze means to examine critically to show essential features. Criticize. Point out strong and weak points. You're evaluating. So you're pointing out weak points or what's wrong or even strong points. Compare means to show differences and similarities. See, compare can show differences and similarities. Make sure you get what's similar about them between 2 or more things. But when you contrast, you're showing them how they're different. Define, give a clear, detailed, precise meaning, the who or what, the when or where, to the word or words. Describe is to list physical characteristics, but it often means to discuss, explain, identify. Discuss means to present essential points in their relationships. When it says to elaborate, that means take that topic, take that theme, take that answer, that idea, and expand upon it. Elaborate in greater detail. Go more into greater detail. Evaluate. You will see that a lot on essay questions. Means to appraise carefully. Give positive, negative aspects. Critique it like a judge would. Explain means to clarify and interpret details. Present a step-by-step process, analysis, the how this is done, the why it's done. Illustrate does not necessarily mean to draw a picture. Illustrate means to explain or clarify by giving clear examples, focused examples, so clear that you could see a picture. Math strategies. When you take your math test, there are a few math strategies that will help you show up. Now you know you should show up early to class anyway to give you ample time to review or go through your notes right before you take the test. When you're doing math, you want to show up about 15 minutes early, again, just to review, get organized, go through your formulas. And as soon as you get that test, as soon as you get it, jot down those formulas that you had to memorize. If you're writing down the test, that's okay. Use a pencil. Don't try to do your math in pen. Definitely use a pencil to make corrections neatly, but I would recommend using a pencil with all tests. Listen to the directions that the instructor gives, but also read those directions carefully as you come to them. And scan the entire test first. Now you're seeing a lot of these same rules apply to every single kind of test. You want to scan it. You know you struggle with percentages more than, decimals over here, so you want to spend more time or give yourself more time for that section of the math test, whatever is more complicated for you. Pay attention to plus signs, positive, add, subtract, complete problems, word problems, and simplify the answers. Show all your work. Don't just put the answer down. Show all your work step by step. If you can do it on scratch paper, turn that in, because you may get credit for work shown. Or if something went wrong when you put it on the answer sheet, they've got the scratch sheet where you did the problem out. Put a circle or put a box. Make your answer visible so it doesn't get jumbled up with all the other work. If there's one problem that's really, you cannot figure it out, don't get bogged down there. What should you do? You skip it for then, move on, come back to it at the end if there's time, and check every answer again, rework it, check every answer as much time as you can, and don't leave any blanks. Ask questions of the instructor if you don't understand something. They will be able to help you out there. For all tests, once again, scan it, preview it, budget your time, read the instructions, know the scoring policy. Are you penalized for guessing? How many points are questions worth? You want to focus on the more points, those questions, those are the ones you want to focus, spend your most time on. Are you graded only on the ones you get correct? Know that stuff ahead of time before you get the test. Budget your time so you can pace yourself. Try for the most points in the time you have, and attempt to answer every question. Hard questions can be left until the end unless they have a great deal of value and you really need a lot more time to do them. Take questions at face value. Do not try to make it harder. Don't say, well, what does it mean? And try to put other meanings into it. Just take it at face value, what it says. Answer the questions you know first. That builds your confidence, kind of relieves your stress. Okay, I've got this. And then you can it helps you pace yourself and move forward. If a question seems complicated or difficult, put it into your own words and restate it. Simplify it if you can. Break it down into understandable parts. Sometimes you can actually learn from the test itself. Answers to some questions are found in another question. When you're finished with the test, and you need to check over it, you cannot leave that part out. That means go back to the first question, make sure you did it. If you answered all the questions, you didn't leave any blank, you placed your answers in the right spaces. Another thing is it gives you a chance to proofread your essays or proofread any remarks you made. And don't second guess yourself. Do not change any of your answers as you're going back over and checking it. Don't second guess yourself. The only time you should change your answer when you're reviewing it is if there's clear evidence. Maybe as you continued on the test, you found more evidence that your answer is incorrect. You know it for a fact. I wrote the wrong thing down, I'm changing it. Or if you, as you're going back over it, you read the question again, I didn't get it the first time, so you figure out what the question's asking, and you misread it, so redo it then. Or you recall information it came to you as you were going through the test, or you found the correct answer in another question. That happens too. Then you can change your answer. When you have finished the test, turned it in, you need to do what we call a post-test review. That's after your test. We want to get out of the habit of learning something for a test and then just forgetting it. You want to keep the knowledge with you for future tests, future work. So review the test questions immediately after class while you still can recall them. Remember last class I had, we had a quiz, and then right after, when class was dismissed, a student came and asked me about some of those questions on the test while he could still recall and remember what was asked. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to know the right answers. First of all, verify the ones you got right. Say, okay, I did get that right. But you want to find the answer to the ones you didn't know, because you will probably be responsible for that information again. And sometimes you have access to the test that you took. You'll either receive it back in class, or you might get your results. Find the correct answers to the questions you missed. Learn why you missed them, and learn them. Figure out how to learn it and learn it. Put it in your next study block of time. Test etiquette. This is how you should be when you take a test. First, you should arrive on time. You don't want to come in late. That is rude. It is disrespectful to other students. They've already started their test. They're concentrating, they're focused. If you come in late, you're distracting to them. Once the test has begun, you should maintain silence. There's no reason to talk or to make any kind of noises. If you absolutely have a question during the test, then you should quietly make your way to the instructor and then ask. Don't be getting up. Don't make sighing noises. We all know, we've been in rooms before, we've tried to take a test and someone's just constantly making noises. It's not fair to your peers when you do that. Do not bring food or drinks to the test, or cell phones or tablets. You don't pull those out either. Work by yourself. In other words, don't cheat. You don't show your work to anyone. You don't look at their work. You don't pass receive notes. Just don't cheat. At least you can be proud of whatever grade you made and say, I did it on my own. You don't even want to give the impression that you could be cheating. So don't have anything on your desk or table except the materials that are needed for the test, or whatever's required by the instructor. And if you have to leave the room, first of all, you shouldn't leave. But if there's a sickness or something, you have to leave the room, make sure you talk to the professor quietly and don't take anything out of the room with you. When you finish, submit the test and then leave the room quietly if you're allowed to be dismissed. Part 2 summary. These are things we've gone over. Hopefully you got some tips from this with specific test strategies, general rules for all tests, checking over the test, post-test review, and test etiquette.